in many ways, our values have remained the same. Our culture has been intentional from the beginning, so in those areas, I haven't really changed. But in terms of people, the people who have been in the team, people have come and gone, different people have gone, but somehow we've retained the culture and the values. Okay, I'm Kelechi Onyike. I'm the MD of PODEX Associates. By incorporation, CAC incorporation, to be May 2013, so that's the legal commencement, but we actually opened the office for business in January of 2013. Our practice, there are a lot of influences on our practice. Generally, as a team, we have a lot of interaction. We allow a lot of participation, a lot of ideas to come in. We just allow ideas to mix and just cook. So for us, we describe it as ideas cooking, because the design just has an evolution from the point we have the initial concepts, and as you know, it's subjected to different perspectives, different discussions, different ideas. It's just beautiful to see a design evolve.
At the time, we're very particular about greenery, use of softscape. We're always trying to get some, even if the clients wanted to maximize their land and do fantastic stuff, we're always trying to put in greenery.
They paid more attention to detail. The way they presented the buildings, it was like the buildings were speaking. So like the buildings were animated, and that's what caught our attention. And you know, we are a real estate company. We like presenting our buildings in a way that catches the customers or the homeowners' attention. So that's one thing that drew us to selecting PODEX as our architectural consultants.
We've always tried to ensure that at every point in time we have value that we can give in exchange. And because we seek value from these relationships, so we try to ensure that we always have value to give, because we believe value attracts value. When you have value to give, then you are attractive. So we want to always ensure that our clients can come to us and there's something we're able to give them that they can't just get anywhere else, or they can't easily get anywhere else.
When we're thinking of an architect to use, we're looking at quality, we're looking at commitment, we're looking at professionalisms, and we saw those things in PODEX, the qualities we're looking at. And we saw a couple of projects they did. We visited some of their sites. We saw some of the projects they did at Cowrie Creek. About 4 or 5 projects they did at Cowrie Creek. We saw the quality of work they did. We saw the details that they put into it. We saw the quality of work they did at Lemoraya. So some of those past projects that we saw were part of the things that made us to partner with them to come and deliver this project for us. My goal was, we want to build a home. We want to build not just a house, a home that has everything you are looking for. So, partnering with PODEX, we will be able to deliver a home, not just a house.
We knew that we wanted a home with lots of light, lots of breeze, and lots of garden space. So when we spoke to different architects, we asked for proposals that said, maximize these 3 things: light, breeze, garden space, and let's see what ideas come to the table. And 3 different architectural firms gave proposals. The one from PODEX came through, and we were quite excited with some of the design ideas that they presented. and then selected them, and then decided to flesh out the ideas some more with PODEX that to help maximize those different areas that we were really keen on having in our home.
We're looking for a client to be willing to be adventurous with us. And so we started this conversation with our clients, and then, very intellectual, well-read, exposed couple. And so the very first time they came with us to the estate and saw some of the buildings we've done here, because they were starting to discuss their own project. And one of the things they just said was, we want a building that has lots of lights. That was something they emphasized, and we took home from that. And so when we were proposing a name for the building, we called it the Lighthouse. The high props building is, I think it has 4 suspended floors. So it's the ground floor, 3 upper floors, and then a penthouse. The penthouse is kind of embedded within the roof. It was designed that way from the original neoclassical style of the design of the building that was designed by our professional colleague. We introduced a feature that was like a cantilevered feature around the perimeter of the roof. The intention at the time was not only to collect the rainwater, but also to play down the character of the roof, because we were concerned that the character of the roof was not really in sync with the new direction we're going with that building design. So this is a client who had been looking for a fresh idea and hadn't seen it yet. And so when we got introduced to the clients, the client said, "Let me see what you can do." So eventually, when we showed the client, I think the client responded an email like "wow" or something. So the client was excited with the idea we had brought forth. So that was very, very gratifying. We knew we would give him something that he would like, and seeing that happen was very delightful. The Moriah is 3 apartment blocks, altogether 56 apartments in 3 blocks. And it also has an extra building that housed some of the ancillary facilities, like the offices, the facility management offices, and crèche rooms for children, and then because it's just close to the playground. The brief was to create a combination of 3 and 2 bedroom apartments. And so we were looking at the configuration, creating different sizes, different house types, catering for different needs. We wanted the composition of the 3 blocks to not just be like 3, like what you might typically find in some developments where you have 3 identical blocks standing side by side, right? But we wanted the 3 to feel like a composition that has some creativity, some interest in it, and we wanted the blocks to complement each other when they're standing together, so it feels like 3 not identical, but 3 of a set. And so that kind of influenced the building form. And so we had the blocks with the 3 bedrooms, and had 3 blocks A, B, C. So A and C had the 3-bedroom units, and then had some maisonettes at the 10th floor level. Then the middle block, because it's block B, had mostly 2-bedroom units, 4 apartments per floor. So the ones with 3 bedrooms had 3 apartments per floor. It was quite an interesting design. Compact site, but we tried to make the most of it. And then we had this thing where we often do in many of our projects, where we have like a neutral background, and then we have a splash of color. So you see that splash of color introduced into the facade as part of the composition for the balconies. That's something we did. And then we kind of had a simple lean-to roof covering sections of the building at the top level. I think I was quite pleased with the outcome.
So for me, milestones are a bit, I'll consider milestones differently. People will probably use events and projects for milestones. For me, it's more about the people. One thing that has always stood out for me is each time I walk in, the people I meet, the caliber, the quality, and so on. Now, for people to believe that they can achieve their dreams, because quite frankly, why not go to one of the big organizations? Why come to PODEX at the time it's been? But what we've seen over the years is that the best of the best have come. You see people who have done exceedingly well in school, they have first class in whichever school that they went to, and then they decide to join PODEX and not the others. So for me, that's significant. And what we saw is the influx over time. So initially you had one, then you have two, and then the diversity in the team, the people from different schools in different regions of the country, people from different tribes, tongues, and you see an infusion of creativity. So for me, the growth, the number, the staff strength, the ability for people to stay, because another thing I have found out is that over the years, people have stayed.
We love designing, we love being able to create buildings, but beyond that, we've also been very passionate about building a world-class business. We've also been passionate about building something that truly outlives us. Our values, the acronym for our values as a company is ELITE, and that speaks about excellence, being completely focused at delivering excellent work. It also speaks about leadership, building individuals who are strong, who take ownership and responsibility for the work they do. It speaks about integrity and building people who are true and ethical. Being an ethical company, being a company where the individuals operate in integrity is very valuable to us. And the final part is teamwork, recognizing that nothing of great value, nothing of significance is achieved by one man working alone. I must say I'm tremendously glad to have worked with a very talented team of wonderful people who have shown a great deal of talent, commitment, focus, dedication, loyalty, and I'm truly honored that we've done the things we've done together, because I recognize that there's no way I or any of the founding co-founders could have come where we are today if we didn't have the great talented team that we have. So it remains a strong thing for us to have people on our team whose personal lives who live these values personally in terms of people of excellence, people of integrity, and then all of us playing together.
He as an individual, what he stands for, professionalism, character, is a fine gentleman. So, I think a lot of these characteristics, he transferred it into his company when he started it, PODEX as we know it today.
The integrity, it's an ingredient that's lacking in most businesses in Nigeria. It's not just businesses, in people's lives, right? It's very painful because if we only have this value across the country, Nigeria will be a better place. So in Kelechi from day one, I saw somebody who wanted to do things right? So integrity by definition, right, is being true, no matter what part, right, of you is being tested, right? It's wholeness, so that when somebody is sliced and diced in many parts, each part, right, is authentic, it's true. And so in Kelechi, in contracting, in conversations, in engagements, in relationships, right, I saw a young man who was himself, who was true, right? And when he disagrees with some candor, some politeness.
I follow the works of PODEX, and I see how it has grown larger over time, and we've seen buildings, significant buildings that have evolved from the practice. I'm glad that my initial trust, or my initial belief has seen the light of day.
their commitment to excellence, just sets them apart. There's a project I was doing, a private project, and I spoke to a lot of architects about that project. Speaking to all of them, some of them were my classmates in secondary school, some of them are people who I met on the way, and all of that. When I spoke to all of them, I realized that PODEX was actually exceptional. Their commitment to excellence sets them apart.
They are very professional, they are detailed, they have excellent people management skills, and it's always they're fun to work with. They're not like a regular architectural firm. They have this team spirit amongst themselves, which they also extend to fellow collaborators like us.
What sets them apart for us is the ability to translate ideas into renditions, 3D images that are very appealing to our clients, because this is what helps us, sell our products.
I admired the resilience of Kelechi to go forward, and that kind of inspired every other person. You could see his talent, you could see the talent the firm had, you could see his leadership qualities, which is a very strong aspect of his personality, his ability to harness the resources around him and bring out the best in those resources.
Kelechi's work spoke for him, and the firm's work, because he was using people also, right? Which told me he has been able to infuse those qualities in the people that work for him, because if you are building a firm and you're growing, and the people you work with, right, are compromised, you will fail.
Of course, it's great to also see some of our projects, being built. This is a great feeling as well. When this project was just sketches on a paper, and then one day you come into a building that's being commissioned. That too is something that is super exciting. I think early this year or sometime last year, I just walked by Le Moraya, and I was just thinking to myself, I still remember the day we were on a site, and I was with an engineer, and the client called him and said, "Do you know an architect who can do it?" He said, "I started right here with me," and then he introduced us, and then we got on that project. I remember the early sketches, I remember the early stage of the design, and here is such a big building standing. Those sort of things are things of great joy. I'm looking forward to the execution of the clubhouse that we're currently designing for one of our clients in Port Harcourt. I'm looking forward to that. A lot of sweat has gone into that. So over time, we've had some of our, some major briefs in the past 5 years where we've gone full cycle, big projects that we've designed, the Petan project, for instance, the Seplat Hospital that we spent a lot of time designing. And for one reason or the other, the investment decision wasn't made by the client. So I'm quite pleased that the feelers I'm getting are that this one is going to go through up to execution. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to breaking ground on that next year. And then I think it will be an exciting project.
So in the next 10 years, PODEX needs to grow. Organically, inorganically, you're going to have to acquire other firms with your philosophy, with your values, and just keep growing, so that what happens is that you become that distinguished company that people cannot avoid, and everybody would have to reckon with you.
For the next decade, I'm looking to see us a bit of diversification. So right now we have our core, and then we have a few things around it. Some of those business areas that are around it, I'm looking forward to seeing them become stronger and almost create independent identities.
Now, like I tell fellow directors, this thing has to outlive us. The idea is that we have only planted a seed, and we're going to hand over whatever it is that we have created to the next generation. So it's not just about us, it's not about what it is that we've started. We need to hear, well, I'm not sure where we'll be in 100 years, but we need to hear in 200 years that the firm has grown, and that legacy has passed on and on.
Thank you to everyone who's been on the PODEX team. Thank you to everyone who's joined hands with us in this vision to build what we've built. And we must say to God be the glory, because we can't claim that everything has entirely been by our skill or talent. The truth is that God's hand has been with us, and God has opened doors and given us favor and blessed the works of our hands. And for this, I'm truly grateful that today we can gather, celebrating 10 years. 10 years of God's grace and kindness. So I'm excited about it.